Hi, you guys. How is it doing? During today's kind of lesson, but actually in today's video, I would like to explain you guys. I would like to review, first of all, some concepts related to the direct object, okay? And I would also like to introduce a new concept. Basically, some of you guys may already know it, but is the indirect object, okay? So let's first start with a brief review on the direct object, okay? Basically, the direct object is whatever receives the effect of the action specified in the verb, okay? It can refer to a person, an animal, an object, or even a concept. If the direct object is a person, it needs to start with the preposition a. Depending on the kind, the gender, and number, it can be replaced by a pronoun, such as lo, la, los, las, me, te, or nos, okay? Basically, this all may seem quite complex at the beginning of many things to remember, but I'm sure with the examples I prepared, it will be very easy for you guys to understand it. Okay, basically, what I want to tell you guys when I'm talking about the direct object is that some verbs require an extra information to know what exactly are we talking about, okay? It can be some verbs require for us to clarify if we're talking about a person, if we're talking about a thing, a historical event, probably, why not? And we need some sort of extra information in order for the sentence to make complete sense, okay? Then I want us to work with these examples I wrote here, okay? And this let's read them and let's work with them, okay? Mi amigo tiene un perro. We can make a simple syntactic analysis right here. We can say mi amigo, this is the subject, okay? Because it's the person who has something, right? It's the person who's doing the action, okay? So, tiene is clearly the verb. And what does my friend have? My friend has a dog. My friend has it. Therefore, un perro is our direct object, okay? And as un perro is masculine and singular, we have to replace it, or we can replace it if we want, for the pronoun lo, okay? So basically, pronoun lo is for masculine and singular objects or people or concepts, all sorts of stuff, okay? Then, let's go with the next example. Mi padre tiene una gata. Once again, mi padre is the subject, tiene is the verb, and una gata is what my father has, okay? Therefore, this is our direct object, okay? Because my father has it, right? And as we're talking about una gata, which is feminine and singular, we can clearly replace it for the pronoun la, okay? So la is for feminine and singular direct objects, okay? Excellent. Basically, as you can see, we can easily translate this sentence to my father has a cat, a female cat. My father has it. Therefore, we can replace it. Therefore, we have made a replacement in English, and this replacement in Spanish will be mi padre la tiene. Now, pay close attention to the next example, please. Mi amigo besa a sus padres. Here, we have a preposition a, right? Because we're talking about padres, which is a person, right? Therefore, we need it to start in a preposition. Also, sus padres is masculine and plural, right? Because we will say, if we had to replace this direct object in English, we will say, my friend kisses his parents, right? So my friend kisses them, right? In Spanish, we also need to change the pronoun, just as we did in English. And a sus padres is clearly masculine and plural. Therefore, the correct pronoun for this sentence is los. Mi amigo los besa. Remember, as you can see right now, the pronoun always needs to go before the verb, right? That is very, very important. That is primordial, because in English, you will put the pronoun after the verb. But no, in Spanish, it is not the case. We need it before the verb, okay? Perfect. Then we also have the next example. Julián ayuda a sus amigas. A sus amigas, we are also talking about a person, right? Well, some people in this case, right? Therefore, it needs to start in preposition a. Every direct object that's referring to a person needs to start in preposition a. And so the translation for this sentence will be Julian helps his friends, his female friends, if we want to be specific, right? So Julian helps them. Therefore, the friends will also be the object in the English translation of the sentence. And a sus amigas is female and plural. Therefore, we need the pronoun las in order to replace it. Okay? These lo, la, los, and las pronouns can refer to both people and objects. Okay? Both people and object can be replaced with these pronouns, with lo, la, los, and las. Perfect. Well done. Then we go to the next example. La vida golpea a mí. This is between parentheses because it's a really weird phrasing, and I'm only doing it as just in order to explain, okay, the concept I want to address right now. But basically, it will be life hits me, okay? And this a mí, okay, can be replaced. Of course, we're talking about a person. I'm referring to myself, right? So it also needs to start with preposition a. And we can make an easy replacement in the form of la vida me golpea. Life hits me. Excellent. Ella no quiere a ti. Once again, we're talking about a person. We're talking about you. Therefore, it needs to start with the preposition a, right? Ella no quiere a ti. She doesn't love you. True. Sad but true. So, ella no te quiere, right? Basically, this a ti can be replaced for the pronoun te, and also it needs to go before the verb, right? Excellent. Finally, the last example I want to show you guys is el profesor grita a nosotros. Okay, this is not between parentheses because even though it is a weird phrasing in Spanish, we could set this phrase, even though it will sound weird, but it is not grammatically correct in different, different to the previous two phrases we have just analyzed, okay? Therefore, el profesor grita a nosotros. The teacher yells at us, right? Therefore, we can replace this as el profesor nos grita, okay? This is actually very easy. We have extensively gone through it in the previous lessons, okay? So basically, we will just leave it here. Basically, because in today's lesson, I want also to address what the indirect object in Spanish is. This is kind of a tricky concept, yet with some practice is actually very easy. So please pay attention, and I'm sure you all will understand what I mean when I'm talking about the indirect object. The indirect object and the direct object are basically are not the same thing, yet they are quite similar. So the direct object is also whatever receives the effect of the action specified in the verb, okay? It is also the recipient of an action. Also, in order to exist, it requires the existence of a direct object. We'll go through this in a while, in a bit. It usually starts with the preposition a, okay? In the direct object, it can only start with a when we're talking about an animated object or a person. But here, the indirect object usually starts with the preposition a, or also in some instances, it can also start with preposition para. Para. We'll see an example. This is very important. It can be duplicated by a pronoun. We can have two indirect objects in the same sentence, which is not the case with the direct object. Direct object cannot be duplicated in the same sentence, okay? That will be a mistake. Depending on the kind, the gender, and number, it can be replaced by a pronoun such as le, les, me, te, or nos, okay? We have less pronouns here. Basically, it's for the indirect object is invariable depending on the gender, yet it is not invariable depending on the number, okay? And finally, when replacing a le and lo, la, los, or las in the same phrase, le turns into se. I know this can all seem very difficult. There are a lot of things to keep in mind, but let's see an example, and I'm sure it will be really helpful for you guys. Let's go. Okay, let's see a brief yet complete example. We have the next phrase. Mi madre compra comida al chef. My mother buys food from the chef. Okay, basically, we can replace this mi madre will be our subject, okay? Basically, because it's the person who's doing the action. Compra is our verb, is the action the subject is doing, right? Then we have comida. Comida is our direct object. What is my mother buying? My mother is buying food, right? Is what my mother is buying. Then this is the object of my mother's action, right? And finally, we have the person who is being bought by my mom. In this case, the chef. So comida will be our direct object and al chef will be our indirect object. Right. So let's start replacing. We can say as al chef is singular, is only one chef, right? We can replace it for the pronoun le. Mi madre le compra comida al chef. This is very important. I put al chef between parentheses because we can both say it or ignore it. As I've told you in the previous phrase, we can duplicate the indirect object if we want to. Okay? We can duplicate it. It's quite common indeed. It's not an obligation. You can just ignore it if you wish, but it is indeed an option, and you will hear it a lot when talking to native people in Spanish. Then you can put it or you cannot put it. It's okay. Finally, we have mi madre se la compra. What happened here? What happened here? Why do we have a se instead of le? This is a very important concept. When we are replaced in the previous sentence, mi madre le compra comida al chef, we replaced al chef with le, right? We replace our indirect object with the pronoun that it requires, right? Also, in this second phrase, we didn't replace the direct object, which was comida, right? So what I want to say here is that when we in Spanish, it's kind of illegal to have mi madre le la compra. That cannot happen. It just sounds weird to us, Spanish native Spanish speaking people. Then when we are replacing both a le and a direct object pronoun such as such as lo, la, los, or las, we need to change that le into a se. That le turns into a se. Okay, perfect. This may be weird at the beginning, so let's see another complete example, but let's twist it a bit. I want you to try to analyze this sentence we have here, and you can pause the video, of course. I'll give you 5 seconds anyway, but you can pause it if you want. And I want you to tell me what is the subject, what the verb is, what the direct object is, and also what the indirect object is. Okay? I basically divided into 4 elements, so it won't be that difficult. I don't want this to be difficult, but I want you to be able to recognize them. So let's get started. Perfect. Now let's see the whole phrase. Our phrase was Juan presta dinero a Javier. So Juan borrows money to Javier. No, Juan lends Javier some money. Okay, Juan is our object, is the person who's doing the action. Presta is our verb, is the action Juan is doing. Dinero is the direct object, is what it is what Juan is lending Javier, right? And finally, Javier is the recipient of the action. Basically, we have Javier as our indirect object. Remember, we do need a direct object in order for the indirect object to exist. Okay, so we do need to have dinero in this case, or any direct object, in order for the indirect object to exist. Therefore, we can start replacing all this by saying Juan le presta dinero a Javier. Let's remember, a Javier is our indirect object, which can be replaced by le or less depending on the number. Therefore, this le it can be duplicating Javier as well, which is doing here as we have put a Javier between parentheses, okay? And finally, when we are replacing both the direct and indirect object, we have a very similar case. It will be a very common mistake if you said Juan le lo presta a Javier. But that sounds weird to us. Once again, we need to turn that le into a se, okay? This may be kind of difficult at the beginning, but you will have some activities, some application activities, and we will of course work extensively with this concept during our personal and individualized lessons. Then this will be it. Let me repeat it just another time, but let me have a sip of my coffee beforehand. Yummy. Then, Juan presta dinero a Javier. Juan is our subject, presta is our verb, dinero is our direct object, and a Javier is our indirect object. Remember, in order for the indirect object to exist, we need a direct object beforehand. Okay? Then we can start replacing. Juan le presta dinero a Javier. Remember, the indirect object can exist 2 times in the same phrase, as long as it is referring to the same thing. And basically, as a Javier is singular, it's just one person, right? We can replace it for the pronoun le. Finally, we can also replace the direct object, which in this case is dinero, and dinero is masculine and singular. Therefore, it can be replaced by the pronoun lo. So, as we don't want, as we cannot have le, lo, we need to turn this le, previously seen, to a se. Okay, this is a very important. This se still is the indirect object pronoun, but we can. But we need it to be phrased in this way. Okay, that will be basically it with this example. Then let's see some final example before finishing today's video. Our first example is le compré un obsequio a mi suegra. I bought a gift for my mother-in-law. Okay, here we don't have here we have what we call sujeto tácito in Spanish. The subject is not present, yet we know that the person who did this is yo because of the verb. Yo le compré un obsequio a mi suegra. Un obsequio is what I bought, right? Therefore, it's our direct object. And the recipient of my gift is a mi suegra, right? And we can deploy it as a mi suegra is only one person, right? It needs to be replaced, in this case, also duplicated by the pronoun le. I bought her a gift. I hope this is clear. Okay, then in the next sentence, we have un amigo me trajo esta botella. A friend brought me this bottle. Okay, here we have the subject, which is un amigo, trajo, which is our verb, brought, and we have 2 objects, the thing he brought, and the person who received the thing he brought, in this case, me, okay? And esta botella is what my friend brought, and me is the one who received what my friend brought. Therefore, esta botella is our direct object, and me is our indirect object. Also, we have the next example. Te lo digo nuevamente. Te lo digo nuevamente. This is a very complex example, but basically both te and lo are our indirect object pronoun, okay? Te is our indirect object because we have a lo, which always needs to be direct object, okay? That's basically it. Also, nos invitaron a una fiesta en París. We were invited to a party in Paris. In this example, what we were invited to, we also have a tacit subject here, sujeto tácito. Who invited us to a party? We don't actually need to specify. It's they invited us to a party, right? So this us in both no, here I made a mistake. I'm terribly sorry. A una fiesta is not the direct, it's not the indirect object. It's not the direct object, I mean. let's just ignore that example, okay? Let's ignore this example, pretend I said nothing. The next example is a mi tía le salió un herpes. Sorry about this example, but yeah, my uncle, my aunt had some herpes. Basically, you will be tempted to say that mi tía is the subject of the sentence. No, you will be wrong. In this sentence, we have a mi tía, which starts in a preposition. The subject, not only in Spanish but in any language, can start in a preposition. In no language, the subject can start in a preposition. Try it. You'll see it's not possible. So a mi tía and le are duplicating each other. Okay, but and salió un herpes. Un herpes is the subject of our sentence. Let's continue. El campeón les perdonó la vida a sus rivales. The champion forgave the life to his rivals. El campeón is our subject. Perdonó, which is to forgave in this case, is our it's our verb. Then we have la vida. What did the champion forgave his rivals? The life, right? So this will be our direct object. And who were forgiven? The rivals, right? So a sus rivales is our indirect object, which is indeed being duplicated by les. Okay? We have a sus rivales, which is plural. Therefore, it needs to be duplicated by les, or only replace, of course. And finally, we have the next example. ¿A ti te pagaron el préstamo? Did they pay you the loan? Basically, the subject here is tácito, is ellos. It's not there, but because of the verb, we can infer that the subject is ellos. Once again, we have a very similar example to the mi tía one, okay? We have here, el préstamo, what was paid, we actually don't know because it is a question, but bear with me. This préstamo, what was paid, right? And also, who had to receive the payment of this loan? In this case, you. A ti te pagaron el préstamo. Here we have a ti, which is the subject. Which is the object, because remember, the subject can never start in a preposition. And this object is this indirect object is being duplied by te. Okay? So, this will be a brief introduction to the indirect object. Please take all the notes you need, and put and write down all your doubts and thoughts about this topic, and ask me about it or about them if there is more than one during our lesson. This will be everything from me. I hope you guys have an excellent day, and see you guys whenever I see you. Adios. Ciao, ciao.